how we can improve the car. Of course, I know that we don't have the quickest car anyway at the moment, but
This year's Dutch GP was simply epic. What happened at Zandvoort may have completely changed the course of this season. Are we witnessing the beginning of the end of the Verstappen era? Does McLaren have what it takes to dethrone the mighty Red Bull? And what about Ferrari, huh? Have they finally found their way back to the top? In this video, we're going to break down everything that went down this weekend. We'll talk about the mysterious problems haunting Red Bull, McLaren's meteoric rise, Mercedes' disappearance, and Ferrari's rebirth. The championship, my friends, might be about to turn upside down. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any details of the upcoming races. Let's start by talking about the man of the day, Lando Norris. What a spectacular race, folks. The McLaren driver showed he's not messing around and secured his second Formula One victory in an absolutely dominant fashion. It all started with a slightly tricky start. Norris, who had taken pole position, lost the lead to Verstappen right in the first corner. But hold on, don't think that shook the Brit. With a worthy performance, Norris kept his cool and showed that McLaren came to Zandvoort with a truly competitive package. As the race progressed, it became clear that McLaren's pace was simply unreal. Norris not only managed to regain the lead from Verstappen, but also opened up an absurd gap. We're talking about more than a 20-second difference to second place, and as if that wasn't enough, Norris even set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap. That's what we call total domination. This victory wasn't just another ordinary triumph, it was a statement of intent from McLaren. The Woking team showed that their recent updates aren't just cosmetic. They have a car capable of fighting toe-to-toe with Red Bull, and Norris proved to be the ideal driver to extract the maximum from this package. But while McLaren was celebrating on the other side of the pit lane, the story was quite different. Red Bull, the team that had been dominating the season almost tyrannically, faced its worst nightmare at Zandvoort. For the first time since the Dutch circuit returned to the calendar, Max Verstappen couldn't win at home. And it wasn't for lack of trying. The problem is that the RB20, a car that seemed unbeatable until then, showed its weaknesses in a glaring way. Verstappen, usually so confident and dominant, seemed to be fighting against his own car throughout the race. The complaints over the radio were constant and quite revealing. The car isn't turning and I have oversteer at the same time. Very difficult to drive. These were the words of the three-time world champion during the race, and it wasn't an exaggeration. The RB20 presented serious balance problems and tire wear far above normal. But it wasn't just Verstappen who suffered. On the other side of the garage, Sergio Perez also faced similar difficulties. The Mexican, who finished only in 6th place, was straight to the point after the race. "We have a fundamental problem with the car." This statement from Perez is particularly worrying for Red Bull. We're not talking about a one-off problem or a wrong setup for a specific track. The word fundamental suggests there might be something seriously wrong with the basic concept of the RB20. The big question now is, will Red Bull be able to solve these problems in time to maintain their advantage in the championship? Because a certain team is coming on strong. And this is where the most exciting part of this story comes in, folks. McLaren isn't just winning races. They're seriously threatening Red Bull's hegemony in both the Constructors' and Drivers' Championships. Let's look at the numbers. After the Dutch GP, the gap between Red Bull and McLaren in the Constructors' Championship fell to just 30 points. That's right, 30. For a team that seemed untouchable at the start of the season, Red Bull suddenly finds itself nervously looking in the rearview mirror. And in the Drivers' Championship? Well, Lando Norris managed to reduce Verstappen's lead to 70 points. It might seem like a lot, but with the pace McLaren has been showing, that difference could melt away. Helmut Marko himself, Red Bull's consultant, acknowledged the threat. He said that now Norris has the speed to catch Max in the championship. When one of Red Bull's most important men makes a statement like that, you know it's serious. McLaren's evolution in recent races has been nothing short of phenomenal. They haven't just caught up to Red Bull in terms of pace, but at some tracks, as we saw at Zandvoort, they simply left the current champion eating dust. The big question that remains is, does McLaren have what it takes to maintain this level of performance until the end of the season? If they can, we might be witnessing one of the biggest turnarounds in recent Formula One history. And we can't forget that we still have many races ahead. Car development doesn't stop, and each weekend can bring new dynamics to the track. McLaren has proven that it's possible to catch and overtake Red Bull. Now it remains to be seen if they can maintain this frantic pace of evolution. One thing is certain, the 2024 championship just got a lot more interesting. The battle between Red Bull and McLaren promises to be epic, and we can't wait to see how this will unfold in the upcoming races. But Formula One isn't just about Red Bull and McLaren. And speaking of teams that used to dominate the sport, we can't fail to mention Mercedes. What happened to them at Zandvoort? George Russell finished in a modest 7th place. Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time champion, managed a notable recovery starting from 14th to finish 8th. But let's face it, for a team of Mercedes' caliber, this is far from a satisfactory result. The most worrying thing for the German team is that these results don't seem to be just a bad day at the office. Toto Wolff, the team principal, made it clear that there are deeper problems to be solved. In his words, "We have to take a look at the update kit. There's something big that didn't work here." This statement from Wolff is particularly alarming. Mercedes brought significant updates to Zandvoort, hoping to make a leap in performance. But instead of moving forward, it seems they took a step back. The Brackley team runs the risk of ending up 4th in the Constructors' Championship. The big question now is, will Mercedes be able to identify and correct these problems in time to save their season? Or will 2024 be another year to forget for the team that dominated the hybrid era of F1? But wait, it's not over yet. While some teams are struggling, others seem to have found their groove. After a complicated start to the season, Ferrari showed they still have a lot of fight left in them. Charles Leclerc was the star of the Italian team this weekend. Starting from 6th position, the Monegasque driver had a flawless race to claim a surprising 3rd place. Carlos Sainz, who started way back in 10th, managed an impressive recovery to finish 5th. The most encouraging thing for Ferrari is that this result doesn't seem to have been mere luck. The team showed a truly competitive race pace, managing not only to overcome Mercedes, but also to dangerously close in on Red Bull. This performance couldn't have come at a better time for the Scuderia. With the Italian GP, Ferrari's home race, just around the corner, the Maranello team arrives at Monza with morale sky high and a car package that finally seems to be making sense. The big question is, will Ferrari be able to maintain this pace in the upcoming races? If they can, we might have not 2, but 3 teams fighting at the top in the next stages of the championship. And what about you? What did you think of this turnaround in the season? Do you think McLaren has a real shot at the title? Will Red Bull manage to solve their problems? Can Ferrari maintain this pace at Monza? Leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any analysis of the upcoming races. See you next time, folks.